Hi, this is Gadiel Khan with Selling Film News here with the team behind the outfit. We've got Hutch, Kelly Snowden, and of course, Yen Tan. Yen, with Pit Stop, you driving around, you get this idea just from your drives. And with this one, you watch or hear about, a politician. When do you have an idea and you're like, oh, I can kind of work with this? How do you have that moment of zen when you figure it out?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I think it was such a vague idea when it started because, I was just basically reacting to like specific events about this politician's career, and I bounced it off my editor Don Suenos, who was like the co-writer of the outfit also, and I just sort of give him a pitch about, okay, like what happens if we start off with this thing, having him wearing this outfit and the photo goes viral, and then we just sort of like go from there, and we try to make it like for 10 minutes or whatever. And so I gave him a bunch of like ideas about what I think would happen, and he just sort of took off running and knocked out the first draft and sent it to me, and I was just like immediately was like, oh my gosh, this is like totally could make sense. And then I rewrote some of the stuff he wrote, and then we just sort of went back and forth to a point where we felt like, okay, I think this is like this has like a narrative arc to it, and then we sent it to these guys to get their notes, and then they immediately responded to it too.
What was y'all's first reaction to that? What were your notes?
Well, first, Yen had told me about the idea before he sent the script, and I thought it was like brilliant, like concept, and I was just looking forward to something that was more comedic for Yen, because I know Yen's personality, and so most of his movies are pretty somber, and so it was kind of like a nice just change. So when I read the first draft, I was just laughing quite a bit, because I was like, this is great, because I can see Yen's voice in this, but it's something completely different, and that was like really refreshing.
When did y'all know your cast? Was it always thought of those people, or did you have someone in mind other than that?
It's pretty much like I think I wrote with people in mind. I think I wrote knowing that I can get AJ and Anna Margaret to be in it, even though like AJ and I have never worked before. We've just like ran to each other enough that I was kind of curious about what he would do with this part, even though if you sort of look back at his filmography, like he's very, he's done a lot of genre films, and he usually plays a range of a certain type of character in the genre films, and he plays them really well, and then he and I have had conversations about like him wanting to branch out, and I felt like, okay, let's try this, and so I think like with him it was just basically like, and like it was by instinct, so I felt like he would be able to tap into this, because he's like one of those guys you wouldn't expect him to have this sort of like very, he's like very knowledgeable about gay culture in a way that you don't expect him to, and then you can sort of really engage him in that way, in sort of really tapping into like his gay side. I don't know if that's a way to put it, but he's like very like, you guys saw it on the set. He was just very like he could just like turn it on, and then we'll all be like cracking up,
Well, and that was the thing too. Is like it's what was fascinating about AJ was the fact that Yen's sense of humor and my sense of humor can get pretty foul. And then you just add AJ to that mix, and he could hang with the best of them. He was a filthy animal in the best possible way. But it was funny because it almost became like a competition on set for who could gross out who. Like we would be sending text messages or pictures and stuff throughout, and it was just really fascinating because he was just like one of the guys. And what he says is the culture. There's nothing that's taboo, nothing that AJ couldn't or wouldn't talk about that he didn't have some knowledge about, which is really refreshing.
Where did the actual outfit come from? When did y'all find that specific outfit? Did you always have a white belt in mind? How did that come about?
So if the actual event had a photo also of a congressman, and the photo went viral, and we basically used that photo as a reference, and it was a matter of talking to our wardrobe designer, which is Anel, and I just basically told her, I was like, can you find something that's very close to this? Like, not exactly like that, but it's kind of in the vein of that. So, but I would say at the end of it, it's kind of like, what, 80% identical?
Oh, yeah,
Instead of
for
the
sure.
look, it's the same. The colors are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the look is almost like exactly the same.
Yeah, and didn't she end up like painting the belt?
Yeah, she painted the belt,
Okay,
right?
yeah, that's
like,
right,
She
'cause
like
it's
spray
true,
painted
yeah.
the belt because we wanted the belt to be not like it's actually harder than I thought to find a teal belt, you know? And she was like, it's hard to find. Let's just like spray paint it, and
It was
totally
a very
worked.
specific color.
Yeah, very
I mean,
specific
she-
color that she wanted.
With the shirts, you know, she gave options, and then with the belt, they really wanted a specific color, so she went out and got the paint and painted the belt so that you could get the right color.
And it was interesting too, because that's like the only. It's even for a short film or feature, it's like a luxury to do like wardrobe tests. But Anel and I actually got together and we did camera wardrobe tests, which is the
Yeah.
first time I've ever done that, because we wanted to make sure that it looked just right on camera. Because especially with the white pants, white is so difficult to get digitally that we had to make sure that it wasn't going to look terrible on camera. So it was. She brought a bunch of different choices, and we tried a
On
bunch of different
location.
choices, and just
Yeah.
so.
Options is an interesting word, and it kind of last night during the Q&A, Kelly, you said something I think it was really profound. You said for filmmakers in the audience, if you give yourself options, like y'all had options in the pop song too, that can change the edit, the post completely. Can you kind of elaborate on how that affected this short in a positive way?
So, a big part of the short is this pop song. And originally, Yen had a very specific pop song in mind that he wanted to use. And so we went through the process of, getting the rights to use the song and, figured out how much it was going to cost and, all of that stuff. And as we were doing that, we knew that that was going to be difficult and also expensive. And so even just at the beginning of the process, we just weren't sure. And so it was always in the design that we would have Curtis Heath also create a song that would be another option for us. And so, but Yen was really attached to the original song and really wanted at least one version that had that song, whether we, had, at that point we didn't know if we were going to have rights to it or not. And so having the option of both songs was important to Yin, but also it worked out really well for us because we got to see what worked better. And I don't know why one worked better than the other. It could have been AJ connected more to one song. He knew the lyrics better to one song or another. It's hard to know why one's going to work better than the other, which is why it's good to shoot both. And as an AD, it's hard for me to say that. In fact, another director I work with pulled me aside last night and said, I'm going to hold you to that. Well, I'm going, no, not you. You can't handle that. You can't handle me giving you multiple songs to shoot or whatever. But
Yeah.
As an AD, it's hard for me to say options because, are you kidding me? That's way more.
But it's like part
time.
of our preparation, though. We kind of like knew we
knew
kind
ahead
of
of
we
time.
basically it's kind of like we did our homework so that
Yeah.
we're prepared for both scenarios, But it's one of those things where I think because we did it early enough, and Curtis actually worked on a rough draft of the song early enough so that we can shoot the scene with AJ in it.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of cases, I think what people would run into is they would go ahead and use the copyrighted song,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
they shoot it, and that's all they have,
And
and
they're
they try to
stuck.
clear it, and then they're stuck with that if they can't clear it, and then they have to bring the actor back
Right.
to
Well,
shoot.
And
Right.
what was
The
interesting
original
is
song.
talking with Yen, like there was a lot of like hesitation too because of the song, because it's like the song is so perfect. I just don't know. And Curtis is an amazing composer, but it's like we
Right.
just don't know if he's going to be able to create something that's going to be as good or better. And honestly, at the end of the day, because even the rough cuts that we sent to festivals, the song wasn't completely finished, so we had the rough temp song in there, and Yen was really attached to it. And then once we got the final mix from Curtis, it actually played way better.
Yeah, and then
like, the
also
song
it's
actually
one of those-
works better.
And it also worked better with the edit also
Oh, for
because
sure.
we were like cutting to the beat, with the song, and then it cut way better too.
And AJ's
picture.
performance is better.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
It's clearly better.
Yeah.
If you could see both of those both versions side by side. It's a different
ending.
short.
It's a different
the ending
ending.
is much more powerful with the new song. So
That's interesting. Yen, can you sing the song that's not in there? Go.
go.
No.
The song that's not in there.
Oh, and let's just put it this way: if you are looking to clear a song,
Yeah.
Right.
don't clear a song that has a Tupac sample in it. That's like
or
the
anything
worst
that
thing in
has-
the world.
Yeah, anything that has to clear somebody
Yeah.
else's
If it's
also.
multiple,
If it's
Yeah,
if,
that's
it's got
the-
samples in it, just go ahead and
Yeah.
just blow your brains out because
It's
there's
kind of
too many
miraculous
people.
if we're in the indies to even clear songs. It's just one of those things. It's like such a
Oh yeah, well I mean it's like
Well, you
the
just have
the
to-
thing about Clerks, they spent like more money on the soundtrack
Yeah.
than the whole movie. I mean that's just insane because of just all the clearances.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got films that, like the Raiders film that was here. I mean, that's not sound; that's the whole film.
Yeah.
right.
But, you know, it's interesting. Indie film, no money, and yet y'all are asked to spend money just to complete the film. It's kind of wild. So, how did you guys figure out? Okay, let's jump to the sex scene because you start out with a specific shot, a point of view from behind him. So it could be anyone. And I think that's what you're getting at with how y'all shot it. It could have been a man, could have been a woman. Was those shots specific, or how did it affect you when you got into that specific location? Like, tell me about how you set it up.
Well, I mean, first off, Yen will probably hate me for saying this story, but this is like one of my favorite on-set memories of all time. So Yen did storyboard this, but what's crazy is because it was always very specific. It was always a from behind shot. It was always an overhead from her, and then it was his up shot, and that was how it was storyboarded. But how we were going to show that behind shot, you know, was a little different. So it's funny because Yen was like, you know, bless his soul, he is a very intimate person. So the way he was gonna have them is they're laying down and then he's on top like this, right? And I'm like, that's a little too intimate for like what you're trying to do. And that's not the standard like sex position that most like straight people usually have. So it's like, what you want is doggy style. And he's like, no, I don't, that's not right. And so it's funny because as I'm trying to convince Yen that the doggy style is the correct way, we have 3 or 4 other females like walking into the room going, yeah, Yen, and even Anna Margaret said
Anna Margaret
said
kind of
something too.
initiated it. Yeah, Anna Margaret definitely kind of said, "Hey, hold on, I don't get this. This doesn't work." And then, you know, I'm on set and our makeup artist comes in the room, and you know our UPM comes in. I mean,
But I love Yen because he's like, because he's still like at first he's like, I don't care what you guys think. This is what I want. I'm like, we've got a bunch of straight people telling Yen how to like shoot a straight sex scene, and we're like, but he took it graciously, and in the end, it worked out for the best. But that's one of my favorite things is just like trying to explain.
I was
straight
also
sex to
my
Yen.
my thing also. I think my difficulty at that point was like, I felt like I had to honor what I told the actors, which was there was like no nudity.
Exactly.
There was not going
Yeah.
to be even an
Right.
ass shot, and it was one of those things where they were game
Yeah.
to do it on the spot, but like
yes.
I was assuming I was not gonna make them do
Oh,
something
for
they
sure.
were not comfortable
Well,
with.
and that's the thing. What AJ was super awesome. Like he dude would do whatever you asked him to do on set, and so and Yen, and that's where the producer of me came out, and I was like, because I went and approached AJ, and I was like, look, this scene is way funnier if you show your ass, and he's like, okay, if it's funny, let's do it. And I mean, there was like there was no hesitation.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a, man, you know, I don't know if it's right. He was just like, if it's funny, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's try one like that. And so, and I love that kind of just like, there's nothing worse. That's in my opinion. There's nothing worse than when you see a sex scene, because when you've got 2 people that are supposed to be intimate, and then somebody's got like, you know, the blankets always pulled up like around their chest or around them, and you're like, that's not real. It feels so dishonest. So AJ totally tapped into that and was like, you know, let's just go for it. And same thing with like the shower scene, you know. He just like, we just threw it out there, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then he went for it, you know. And so that was just,
That's
you know, another.
We were talking about that last night in that shower scene. There was only one take like that in the shower. The rest was just he was just in the
was
shower.
an alt
and
take
so
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just an alternate take. There was one like that, and I mean, Otherwise, he just is in the shower. And, that's a scene that got cut. He's taking the shower, and then there's a flashback to him buying the outfit. That scene didn't happen. So the shower made sense in that way, but otherwise, he's just taking a shower. So it's again, for options,
Yeah.
Right.
there's only one take that way, but it really worked out and makes an impact in the short.
It definitely does. It's
And he went for it too. Like the whole bringing the shower head thing down was like we all like we were looking at it like everybody like don't
crying
laugh
on
until
set.
he's done because he literally just brings the shower head down. We're like, and then we bust out laughing. I think if on the raw footage you'd probably hear us all like giggling like little schoolgirls afterwards. But yeah,
wow.
AJ was just that was amazing like that.
Sorry you didn't get your way in, but it looks
No, I
great
got my
on
way.
screen.
Thank you.
He did. He got his way.
He got his
I
way.
got my way.
Two of
Somehow.
three
Even if he
shots.
didn't know what his way was, he got his way.
Well, that was the other thing was, it was the way it was storyboarded was, the two shots, the overhead of Anna Margaret and then looking up at AJ. And then when we were talking about how do we get that shot if they really are laying right on top of each other, that's not going to work anyway.
Yeah.
And so it also was a logistical thing, like how is this going to work?
And it was also just
Yeah.
like technical too, because like getting that overhead shot was just a whole beast in and of itself. Just because we didn't have a jib, so we had it like a poor man's like Dana Dolly, just kind of like overhead, and poor Kelly had to kind of get in there at one point just as a stand-in, and so that we could get the shot up properly. And I mean it's very technical, which also. I'm glad we shot the wide first because they were able to get the performance because the overheads were so technical and so hard because neither of them got to perform with each other on their close-ups. Like they were both just like
Yeah.
there with air, and which has got to be extremely difficult. So hats off to them for doing as well as they
Right.
did.
So, final question. It's here in Dallas. What is one word to sum up how much fun that means to, you guys bringing it here?
One word, man.
I'm putting you on the spot
No.
with
One
one word. I know.
word.
Gotta be a good word.
It's rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that too. Yeah.
Damn good. One word.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you guys so much. This was, I think y'all know, one of my favorite shorts, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what you guys can do with some specific future superstar
Okay.
named Renee.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Put us on the spot.
Yeah.